Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we'll be discussing about Ethos Q4FY24 result as well as the concall. Okay, so first thing first, let us discuss about how the result has been, and then we'll proceed as to like what went down in concall. Okay, and I think one thing to note down over here is we saw that last quarter they had guided that they will grow by around 25%. That was a growth, and last time they also mentioned that going forward in the next 10 years, right? After 10 years time, they will be able to sell 1 lakh watches every year. Okay, so let us see how they've done in Q4. Okay, so first of all, right off the bat, if you look at the result has been really good because the revenue, if you see on a Q4 over Q4 basis, the revenue had grown by 22%, 21.7% to be very precise, right? PAT, if you see, PAT has grown by 58%, right? On a Q4 to Q4 basis, that is Q4 year on year. Even the EPS that was there, EPS also grew by 50%, right? Similarly, if you look on on FY23 versus FY24 on a full year basis, also you will see that the revenue has grown 27% and we see that the PAT has grown by 37%. So overall, a great set of numbers right off the bat when you look from your income statement, right? And now let us come and see in every vertical what has happened. Now when you look at Ethos has three verticals. One is they sell their own brand of watches. Okay, sorry, not their own brand of watches. They sell the watches of other brands. Okay, that is exclusive. It could be exclusive brand. So that is number one. The second is they sell the second hand watches. Okay, the third is they have service centers. So these are the three main streams of revenue, but the first one where they sell or they retail the Swiss brand ka watches in India is the main one. Okay, here also you will see the first thing is the volume growth jo hai on a year on year basis, that is a complete year like FY23 versus FY24, they've had a very stunning volume growth of 19%. Okay, even on a value growth, like if you look at their average selling price has also increased by 19% on a year on year basis. Now one of the reason that you see this average selling price has increased is not because the prices of the product has increased, don't get me wrong. Okay, it is because you would have observed that I think in H2 of this year they told that they want to discontinue the watches that are trading below, like let's say price of 50,000 and 1 lakh, right? That is something they want to get out of that category. And now what has happened, the product mix has changed, right? It's moving more towards the high end item like above 1L category. As a result, because of this, you're seeing that the ASP that is there is increasing. Because a lot of people think like volume growth is 19%, value growth is 19%, so they add and they like get around like 35%. So don't make this mistake over here. They're selling more number of products. It's just that the prices of the products that are there, the product mix has changed. As a result, you're seeing value growth happen over here. Not that एक वही product जो last year बेचता था उसका like price increase हुआ है. Okay, so that is another thing to note down. Then we see that SSG, right, the same store sales growth, because you understand that Ethos as a company is a very luxury branded company, right? So even like they can't just rely on store expansion rate alone. The existing stores also has to make money for them, and you'll see that the SSG also has been very strong at 10%. Okay, so on the watches that they sell, the Swiss brand, the first owned watches, the first moving watches that you see, that part of the segment has been doing really well. Then we go to the second part of the segment where they sell the second hand watches, right? Now even the second hand watches on a full year basis, you will see that it has grown by 27% on a year on year basis. Okay, now one thing to note down over here, we saw that again over the last 2 quarters or at the beginning of the year, what had happened was the second hand watches ka prices were correcting. Why? Because after COVID or during COVID, see for example, if you're buying a Rolex watch, right, the Rolex watch ka like probably to make one watch, depending on the kind of category and depending on the kind of price it is trading at, it can go the manufacturing of that watch can take up to like 2 years also. So the demand during COVID was more for these watches, but the supply was less. As a result, ये second hand watches का prices had increased by 4 to 5x. So from that 4 to 5x, it corrected to around 3x, right? So price has not come down to the original price of second hand watches, but there was a correction from all time high, right? And that because of that, thoda sa margin was impacted. But you also see that right now there is no longer problem of second hand watches, and on a full year basis also that also has grown by 27% on a year on year basis. The service center that is there, let's say if you have a watch, right, and you have to get that watch repaired ultimately, so you can go to Ethos and get it done too. So they have three streams of business. Now even here also, the service part also has really performed well. In fact, they have one physical location where you can get this service center, that is in Delhi, and they're opening another one in this year in Bangalore. So all three segments that are there have been doing really well for them. Okay, now coming to, let's say, the other part of the business is the store expansion. Okay, we saw that again, store expansion also, they are guiding for a 20, they're going to open around 20 stores in this year, and it is going to be a mix of both. आपका exclusive brand outlets भी होगा and also multi-branded outlets, right? Everything, including your Rimowa, Messica, everything, that is going to be 20 store opening. Already they've opened with one. Now the problem with the store opening is, first of all, say they have to open, because you're talking about Ethos, you're selling like आपका watches का like starting point is only 1L. You can't open these stores in any nook and corner of the city, right? You have to open it in this luxury places, really high-end mall. Now they do not have any problem in opening stores. There is no problem from their end. But what is happening is, these malls they are opening, or the airport, they are delaying in giving the keys to Ethos. Like for example, Bangalore में एक mall है, Phoenix Mall of Asia. There I think they want to open around 6 stores. I do not know if I heard this right in the con call, but they want to open stores over there. But I think anybody who's living in Bangalore, you know that the mall is, you know, like under litigation process and everything. And right now this luxury segment जो है, उसका floor जो है इस mall में, Phoenix Mall में, that has not been operated. So as a result, because of this, you're not able to open the store, although they are ready from their end with the inventory, with the employees and everything. This is one problem. The second problem is, like example, they're opening in airports. वहाँ पे थोड़ा, you know, it is getting delayed because of all these, you know, various regulatory things. So both of it, as a result, you know, you're seeing a little bit of a delay in terms of store opening. But the management has told, you know, like we are going to try 20 stores at the end of the day. The other thing is Rimowa, right? We saw that Rimowa for them, which is Rimowa is a luxury bag. आपका जो travel bag होता है, right? Which you take the luggages, that is what Rimowa is, and they also have the rights to, you know, set up stores and retail for Rimowa. We saw that last quarter in Q3, Rimowa which opened, there was one store they opened for Rimowa in Geo World in Mumbai, and there within 30 days it became profitable. Not adjusted EBITDA level, not EBITDA level, but actually profitable in 30 days. So Rimowa got a very good response. But the problem with Rimowa is the fact that, you know, whenever Rimowa gives out this license for you to retail their own brands, you know, they have this set of rules and regulations that you can't open anywhere. They have to abide by some international rules that, you know, it has to be opened in a specific location, specific high-end mall, and all of these things. So as a result, Rimowa can't be opened, you know, again, anywhere and everywhere. They need very, very expensive malls for them to open, right? Finally, they've been able to finalize on 2 locations this year. They're going to open 2 more Rimowa stores, one in Emporio Mall in Delhi, and the other one again in I think in Phoenix again, Mall of Asia in Bangalore also, right? Phoenix Mall of Asia in Bangalore. Even they're planning to open the first Messica jo hai, which is again luxury jewelry, right? They want to open luxury jewelry store also, another one here in Bangalore. So store expansion jo hai, right? Store expansion is going really well, because as of this year and we are having 63 stores, right? And going forward, they want to add another 20 stores. So overall good growth. Again, business has been going well. We see that all the segments are doing well, and now we are seeing that the store expansion is also going well, and there is no hiccups over here too, right? The only thing is, agar aap investor presentation mein dekhoge, you will see that the online store visitor, I think one thing everybody has seen there is that has fallen down. It used to be 5,000 in Q4 FY23, 5,000 odd visitors, and now you see that the online store visitor has dropped to 2,500. The reason, we are seeing there is nothing to be concerned about, because we are still seeing a volume growth of 19% to 20% over here. So the online visitor has dropped here, the footfall has dropped here only because they, like I told you, right, they have exited that 50,000 and under 1L category, right? So because of this, there has been a footfall of drop over there, nothing else. But having said that, they're very confident about doing again the 19%. Now let's come to the elephant in the room, which has been a problem with Ethos for a long time, is the gross margin. We see that there is no improvement in gross margin, right? One thing is, over the like FY23 versus FY24, अगर आप देखते हो, FY23 में gross margins was around 12%, और FY24 में, इस साल में पूरा year का अगर आप देखते हो, it was 12.8%. And even in terms of Q4 of last year was 10.4, and Q4 of this year is quarter में we are seeing 11.9. So there is not a lot of improvement in margins you're seeing. There are 2 reasons for this. Okay, one is the CHF ka rate, जो India, because these people are buying the how do I put this? Buying the watches in the from Switzerland and everything, there is this currency difference that happens, right? Because between India and CHF, which is a Swiss currency, because of this exchange rates, they're having a lot of problems, and as a result, you're seeing that the gross margin is getting impacted. Okay, now another thing is also they have a lot of tax to pay because they're dealing with luxury watches, so 22% का tax pay करते हैं, right? Now we see that India and Switzerland जो है, they have signed a bilateral trade agreement. Now according to this trade agreement, it is being said that आगे जाके लग्जरी गुड्स में जो 22% का टैक्स लगता था, इट विल नो लॉन्गर बी एप्लीकेबल, राइट? एंड दिस 22% का टैक्स विल फेज आउट इन अ पीरियड ऑफ 7 years. हर साल 3% कम होता ही जाएगा. नाउ ऑफ कोर्स अगर दीज पीपल डू नॉट हैव टू पे टैक्स, दे आर गेटिंग अ वैट रिफंड ऑन द प्रोडक्ट्स, देन व्हाट हैपेंस, यहाँ से और भी ग्रॉस मार्जिन बढ़ेगा. एंड इनफैक्ट दे टेलिंग H2 में, लाइक दिस ईयर द 3% ऑलरेडी करेक्शन होगा, एंड दैट विल बी रिफ्लेक्टेड इन ग्रॉस मार्जिन इन H2. ओके, सो वन, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इंडिया स्विट्जरलैंड we will see this year in FY25-26 we will see that the gross margin will improve because of three things. One, because of this cancellation of VAT ka refund, cancellation of the taxes on the luxury goods because of the trade agreement. The second thing is they want to increase the share of exclusive brand to their in the revenue. अगर आप देखते हो अभी to the total revenue, 30% of the revenue comes from exclusive brands, which means Ethos is the only retailer here dealing with these exclusive brands in India. Okay, so going forward they want to take this chunk up to 50%. Now more the exclusive brand, the higher is the return on capitals, right? So these two will be the reasons why you will see that the margin uptick ho jayega. Okay, so that is also something they are very confident about. The last thing is on Favre Luba, right? One thing we saw is in the beginning of this year, I do not remember exactly when, we saw that Favre Luba, they had again there is this company called Silver Stake. Okay, so Silver Stake owns this brand called Favre Luba, which is one of the very oldest Swiss जो एक very oldest Swiss brands का watches बनाता है, ठीक है. Earlier I think in 2000 somewhere in that time we saw that Titan जो है got this brand to India, they wanted to retail but it didn't work. Now Ethos is trying to do that, and they owned, like I think they got the majority stake in Favre Luba, I think north of 80%, I do not remember exactly, but I think a huge part of it they got. Okay, and later we saw that they reduced their stake in this Silver City company, Silver City का company, they reduced the stake and they took it to I think around 30-35%, right? They completely reduced it. So the reason for reducing the stake was, now Favre Luba ka when they acquired the brand, they had to do the manufacturing as well as the retail part of it. Ethos का कहना है कि like listen bhai, I am only good at one, giving you the best of the best customer experience, and the other thing is retail. Ethos wants to be known as the Amazon of luxury watches ka retail. Like they just want to be involved in retailing of these watches. They don't want to take the headache of getting manufactured and everything. Okay, but their parent company that is there, which is KDDL, they have a lot of experience with this, manufacturing watches from a very long period of time. So, and KDDL wouldn't agree to do the manufacturing unless and until they had majority ownership in the Silver Stake company, in the Silver Stake brand. Okay, so that is why you see that there has been a change in share structure where they have reduced their stake in Silver Stake brand, and right now KDDL has a majority stake and Ethos has I think hardly around 30-35%, right? So, and also they also believe ki like in other ways, because KDDL is at least a promoter company, the parent company ultimately, right? And it is better to have them as a manufacturer and them having the majority control stake than giving it to any other third party. And Ethos is like, I will never get involved in manufacturing, I just want to do the retail part of it, let them take care of the manufacturing. That is why we saw that there has been a change of structure, but this would not impact your revenue or profitability in any kind. Okay, so that's that about if you look at Ethos ka, the entire thing that went down in concall. Okay, and the guidance when you talk about it for FY25, again it remains strong. The company is very confident about growing at 25% CAGR for the coming years, and in fact they tell that they want to 10x their revenue the next 10 years. So if you look at this year and we have around, I think the revenue for the total year ended with 1,000 odd crores, right? So in the next 10 years they want to take it up to 10,000 crores, and I really hope they will be able to do that, right? So probably FY35 something this should be doing 10,000 crores, provided that of course everything goes well in their favor, right? Yeah, so that is about it. Only thing, last thing I would highlight is they see a little bit of headwind only for the next 2 quarters, Q1, or probably it could even translate even into Q2, is because of election. Now you might wonder, like, Prerna, what elections? And this is a B2C company, right? So right, one of the common rules that we have in election is you can't travel with, I think, more than 50,000 rupees in cash, right? And if you I mean that now, right now, because it is election, there is a lot of this check post and all that is there. And I think some of you all might know this. You all might even have an experience that if you carry अगर आपके पास 50,000 से ज़्यादा कैश होता है, and if that check post में, if you're found, you'll have to give a lot of evidence and XYZ things that happens. So, and now that these people have completely gotten out of this 50,000 and 1 lakh watches, and they're getting into like above category, this cash segment se jo trade hota hai, this will be reduced for this next 2 quarters, because of course people will have to provide justification and XYZ. So usually, to not get into this headache, the sale from the cash segment jo hota hai, it will be reduced because of this election. As a result, going forward, they see that Q1 mein thoda sa impact ho sakta hai because of this. But after that, always, again, this has been apparently the nature of the business. They always see this sort of thoda sa ek quarter ka muted growth hota hai, but provided after the elections jo hota hai, they have a lot of bumper growth, because a lot of people would hinder themselves from purchasing through cash, and then again that comes back immediately after the elections are over, right? So this is one thing I wanted to highlight. And the other thing is, like, jab aapka elections mein time hota hai, right, there will be a lot of rules and regulations. Like, for example, these people have to host a lot of brands, they have to put up this elaborate parties and everything. Now there will be a restriction on that, restriction on making the events, restriction on introducing a lot of export import ka things that happens. Because of this, only because of this reason, because of this election ka scenario, एक quarter में थोड़ा सा there could be a possibility of impact. No clue as to like किस rate से ये impact हो सकता है. Could be 15% का growth we see, or what is it going to be less than 20%? That is something we do not know. Okay, so overall, really great numbers. We see a good amount of good top line, again, with the twin power of operating leverage, very strong management commentary also. I will just highlight on the last thing, which is the balance sheet of the company and the cash flow statement. Okay, पहला अगर आप देखते हो, you will see that the current asset by current liability जो है हमारा, right, you will see that there has been no problem over there, right? आपका जो कोई भी करंट रेशियो अगर आप देखते हो, इट इज एट अ स्ट्रॉन्ग 4.5. ओके, एब्सोल्युटली नो प्रॉब्लम. द लास्ट थिंग इज क्विक रेशियो, बिकॉज यू विल सी अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स पीपल विल ट्राई टू बूस्ट देयर करंट एसेट्स जो है बाय इंक्रीजिंग देयर इन्वेंटरी. बट व्हेन थिंग्स गो रॉन्ग, यू कांट सेल योर इन्वेंटरी ना, यू हैव टू पे अ ट्रेड पेएबल. यू कांट आस्क योर सप्लायर टू बी लाइक, हाँ हमारा इन्वेंटरी लेके जाओ, एंड you can't do a barter system at the end of the day. So you will see, even if you minus the inventory from the current asset, still you will see that the quick ratio is at a very strong 2.5, right? So overall great in terms of balance sheet. अगर आप loans भी देखते हो, there is nothing in terms of आपका short term and long term also. Short term loan जो है, it has increased from 0.80 lakhs to 4.5 crores. But if you look from a percentage wise, of course it is huge increase. But think about it, पूरा साल में 1,000 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे 4 करोड़ का आपका वर्किंग कैपिटल का लोन है. इट इज नॉट अ बिग डील. ओके, द लास्ट थिंग यू विल सी इज the ROE that is there. ROE जो है, I always keep telling you, you have to look for businesses that improves the ROE. You will see that the ROE is still at 9%, and I think ROE में थोड़ा दिक्कत हुआ है. But one thing to note down here is ROE of last year, अगर इथॉस के बारे में बात करते, it was around 13 to 15%, ठीक है, and the company was guiding for growth of 25%. I always tell you in all my videos, जब एक कंपनी 25% से ग्रो कर रहा है, राइट, एंड इट इज टारगेटिंग, और उसका ROE जो कम है, अगर वो 15% पे है, then that extra 10% के लिए, for that to grow, they have to either take debt or they have to take QIP. Now यही हुआ इथॉस के साथ में भी, they wanted to grow at 25%. उनको वर्किंग कैपिटल में पैसा चाहिए था, and they're opening stores also, like 20 stores open कर रहे हैं every year. So how will they afford this capital? तो उन्होंने last time, I think either in Q2 या Q3 or somewhere in between, they did a QIP of, I think, around 150 to 200 crores of that much amount. So because they have done this QIP के वजह से क्या होता है, आपका equity base increase होता है. As a result, ROE has come down. Okay, because ROE का formula क्या है, net profit divided by equity base, right? So of course जब आपका equity base बढ़ता है तो ROE थोड़ा कम आता है. So that is the reason यहाँ पे ROE ROE has come down, but not a worry of concern. अगर आप cash flows में भी देखते हो ना, cash flows is also very तगड़ा, because before the working capital, see first of all profitability on a year on year basis FY23 by FY24 अगर आप देखते हो increased by around 37%, ठीक है. Now जो before the day to day operations जो एक कंपनी का होता है, right, उसके अलावा अगर आप देखते हो the cash flow from working before the working capital changes, even that has increased. Last year था 113 crores, इस साल है 150 crores, ठीक है. और आपका सारा वर्किंग कैपिटल XYZ आपका फिर भी यू विल सी जो लास्ट टाइम एक लॉस में था, मतलब नेट कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज जो हम बोलते थे लास्ट टाइम, इट वाज एट -4 crores, नाउ इट इज एट 31 crores. So you are seeing that the cash flow statement is also improving every year and it is getting better and better. Okay, so that is the only thing. Other than that, if you see ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है, everything is in control only, nothing much to worry about. Only thing is of course you will see a slight increase in inventory. Now this is given, right, because you are targeting a growth of 25%. You are telling कि like 10 साल में 10x होगा revenue. And another thing is, see, first of all these watches to make, it takes a long period of time, because सब एक hand क्या बोलते हैं handcrafted watches है, right? It is not like आप एक machine में, you know, it is not machine made watches, right? Now you also do not know आपके दुकान में कौन सा customer आएगा, उसको किस brand का watches चाहिए. So you will have to keep an inventory, and on top of that आपका जो भी inventory है, it is very high priced, because every watch is above 1 lakh. So अगर आप देखते inventory is rising because of it. See, if your inventory is rising at par with the sales growth, then it is okay. The problem happens जब आपके इन्वेंटरी वहाँ पे फुल के बैठा है पर सेल्स ग्रोथ नहीं है. That is when the entire inventory का thing issue comes, right? But now you see that is not a problem, right? So that's that about Ethos, right? Good set of numbers, great management commentary, great guidance, and of course all the things with respect to cash flows and balance sheet are intact. Okay, so yeah, the only hope remains of course that they are able to do 10x in 10 years, and they're able to clock 10,000 crores in the next 10 years, and I really hope they are able to do it, right? किसी की नजर ना लगे इस कंपनी के ऊपर. But anyways, that's that about Ethos, and see you again tomorrow. Bye.